Get your stinking rat out. It's late night large.
Welcome to another edition of Lockdown Large Extra Time. You know the drill. It's me, Aaron, him, Mike, or him, Mike, whichever, forget which side of me he's on. And we talk about, we discuss, debate football issues of the day. We give ourselves a time limit normally. And because the Euros is over, we decided to go back to the time limit. Don't see the need to have an extended edition. It's quite sad, isn't it, Mike? End of the Euros.
It's hard times.
Yeah.
But what have we got? Not even 18 months now to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Less than.
We're going to have, I mean, I'll just say probably, if you don't like football, you're probably happy as Larry now. If you do like football, take this opportunity to pursue other interests, because after the next 4 or 5 weeks passes, probably quicker than you can imagine, not only are we straight back into the Premier League season, but like Mike says, we now have, right in the middle of the Premier League season, a World Cup, and then presumably the conclusion of that Premier League season, which will be extended. So we'll have more non-stop football starting from August, running to, I don't know, probably end of June or something. So, you know, silver linings and all that. So, yeah, I don't know what, dear listener, dear watcher, what stage of grief are you at now? Now that now that it's kind of sunk in that England came within a couple of penalty kicks of lifting a major international trophy, and then it was snatched all away from us. Have we faced up with it? Have we processed it yet? Mike, have you moved on, or is it still hurting?
I'm more over it than I thought I would be, to be honest.
Yeah, I think me too, actually. I don't know. I definitely think it's because part of it is because obviously as time goes by, your emotions are stronger when you're younger, obviously. But the other thing that for me is it just feels so much better that the tournament's over when we've been eliminated, you know, as opposed to the past where it was always England go out, we're angry, we're frustrated, and then the tournament continues without us as if we didn't matter. This time it's like, oh, England are out. Oh, well, let's just end the tournament. Anyway, so tonight we're gonna have maybe a little bit of a debrief about Euro 2020, our thoughts and feelings on bits and pieces related to that. You know, potential breakout players, and we'll have a little bit of a rumination on the chaos that happened around Wembley Stadium on the day of the final. We will go back to, as I said, this is the time limit. We set ourselves 20 minutes. So we'll set the pig. And here we go. So, Mike, off the top of your head, one of the great things about an international tournament is seeing players that, because let's face it, I know there's a few football hipsters who'll say, oh yeah, I watch the German Division 2 all the time. I categorically know all the players. You know, I reel them off, squad numbers, everything. Other than football hipsters, most of us can't afford, either in cost of the channels or the time that we might have at work, of watching football all around Europe all the time. So big tournaments are often one of the only times when we get to see players outside of our comfort zone, i.e. the Premier League, or you might say the SPL, or the Champions League. We see these players burst onto the scene and really make a mark in the tournament. And you look at them and go, Jesus, somebody needs to seriously snap this guy up. So what players really caught your eye, would you say, Mike, that you think either this summer or within the next couple of years, they have to get a big move to one of the elite clubs in Europe, would you say?
Well, I'm sure you'll remind me of people that that I forget. I mean, one that comes to mind almost straight away, and this was actually a player, despite obviously what you just said, it was a player I was actually aware of before the tournament.
Okay.
and that's Alexander Isak. Now he, so he's had a couple of good seasons. I think it was about 2019 really came onto my radar.
Mhm.
But he's young. He's a young man. I can't see. He looks to me like he's got all the fundamentals that he needs to go on and progress through the ranks, if you like. I mean, I know he's at Real Sociedad at the moment. So, and he's had a good couple of years. There's a big move coming for him, I'm sure. So I mean that'd be one player. That'd be one player. I mean, I guess I'm not just thinking about strikers, I promise, but old Shicky boy.
I was about to say, yeah, he was one of the names I immediately wrote down. I mean, there is.
Yeah, I think not just because of that one goal that his long range effort, but
I mean, he was excellent all the way through the tournament, wasn't he? He was he was direct. He was an absolute centre forward. Like, when you see them and they're sniffing out where the goal is. I mean, one of my favourite goals of his, because obviously he scored that incredible goal against Scotland, and he got close to winning the Golden Boot. But to me, one of my favourite goals from him in the tournament was when they were finally eliminated by Denmark. Do you remember? It was just a classic centre forward, exactly the kind of goal you need your centre forward to score. Cross comes in from deep. He gets into the right space. He gets just the right edge on it with his foot, goes through the defender's legs, slides just in between the only part of the net between the goalpost and Schmeichel that he couldn't reach. And I just thought that this kid is a proper centre forward. Like, he has all the instincts and the range of finishing. So yeah, I totally agree with Patrick Schick. Bayer Leverkusen, you'd struggle not to see him either move to Dortmund or Bayern Munich or move league in the next couple of seasons, I would have said.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd say another one. Another one for me, Dumfries.
Yeah,
now he's to me. Yeah, because he's is he? I know he's at PSV. Is he their captain?
I've no idea. He's very young.
I'm sure I've heard that, but I think he could. He's one who not no disrespect to PSV, but I think there could be a bigger, should we say, than European club potentially who would be having a look at him. Maybe not. When we talk about big moves, it doesn't have to be Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus.
Do you know what I've just seen, by the way?
But
well, first of all, I was talking bollocks because as soon as I said he's a young man, I thought, oh, hang on, is he? And then
Dumfries, mid-20s, isn't he?
25, yeah, he's not a young man, but in football terms. But the thing I will say about him is what was I going to say? Oh, sorry, yeah. What I just saw was, just to illustrate your point, apparently Everton are sniffing around him.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so
I'll tell you what, he'd be a fucking steal for Everton, I think.
I guess the only problem they've got is they've already got a very talented right back who's good at getting forward. So you could argue they need more other positions. But I mean, he was, like you say, he was superb as a wing back. Like, he was involved in almost everything good that the Dutch did going forward, and he didn't look wanting too much at the back. So you're right. he really covered himself in glory in this tournament, and what an amazing name. So yeah, for that reason alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's maybe one more. Don't strikers, defenders, midfielder, Locatelli.
Oh yeah.
You remember he did feature in the latter stages, but he was in for Verratti, because Verratti didn't play the first couple of games, did he? Because he was injured.
That's right. Yeah.
For Italy.
Yeah.
So I remember at first, I was like, no Verratti? Fair enough. But I didn't realise he was injured, but that's obviously what it was.
Yeah.
But I think he probably has essentially added a note onto his value.
Yeah.
And I think Locatelli's a relatively small club in Italy. I can't remember which club he's at. I think he plays in the Italian league, but it's a relatively small club. But then again, a lot of the Italians aren't. It's not just AC, Inter, and Juve anymore, is it?
Well, this is the great thing. Yeah, he actually plays for Sassuolo.
Oh, there you go. Then yeah.
So I'd never even realised that Sassuolo was a Serie A club, but there you go. So yeah, fair play as well to Mancini for giving someone who plays for Sassuolo such a platform, and obviously, like you say, he didn't let him down at all.
Yeah, can't think of anyone else.
There
probably are people. I'll probably go, oh yeah, when you say them, but
okay, no. Yeah, I mean you did well there. I'm gonna add one obvious one that you probably missed. Jeremy Doku. So I know not throughout the tournament, but in the brief spells when he came on generally as a substitute, I was like, wow, this is Mbo Mpenza 2.0, as in with additional talent. We said before he nearly scored the goal of the tournament against Italy with those lovely little shimmy sidesteps, and so he looks like a bag of tricks, powerful, pacey, not completely unlike Alexander Isak, although he looks like he's got more like explosive pace. So yeah, I mean he plays for Rennes, and Rennes have been known to be like a platform for players to go on to something big. I mean, that's where Petr Cech was discovered effectively, wasn't it? Sorry, carry on, Mike.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, actually, I completely agree. Completely agree with that. And I actually just remembered that Olmo.
That's right, yeah. No, Olmo was absolutely superb against Italy, particularly for the Spanish. He looked like
probably their best player in that game.
He looked like a real talent. Him and Pedri, obviously. Thing is, obviously, Pedri's already at Barcelona, so we can't really mention him. But yeah, no, what Olmo definitely looked like Spain have got a talent on their hands there. Do we look at any goalkeepers? I mean, it's probably a bit silly to say Donnarumma. Although, to be fair, I remember when Donnarumma emerged as like a 16-year-old at Milan, and everyone's saying, "Oh my God, this is the new Buffon. They've got a new conveyor belt, replacement for Buffon." And then, a few seasons went by, and it was like, well, if he's that good, why is he still at Milan? Because obviously Milan have not really accomplished anything in the last few years. They've been nowhere near challenging Juve or even Inter. And then you see him in this tournament and you think, oh, so that's what the fuss is about. The main thing being that he's a fucking giant, has the absolute perfect stature for a goalkeeper, broad shoulders, 6'7", already intimidating attackers before they even get near goal. And yeah, he didn't do much wrong. I thought he conceded one very poor goal, which was the Austrian one that they kind of nudged in at the near post in extra time. Like, he let that slip in at his near post. But other than that, I completely understand why he won player of the tournament. To be fair, I actually thought Jordan Pickford ran him quite close. because particularly considering Jordan Pickford saved as many penalties as him and conceded less goals in the tournament. But there you go. Pickford does have some shaky moments too. I'll tell you who else I've rated for a while, who probably stepped up another level, was Jan Sommer, the Swiss goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He's been decent for a few tournaments, and he was
definitely worth a mention.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, honourable mention, definitely.
Yeah,
he's putting some performances.
Yeah, can we think of any more breakout players off the top of our heads who? I mean, again, it's not. Federico Chiesa was a lot better than I actually thought he was going to be as well. I mean, you could Chiesa was almost Italy's secret weapon, wasn't he? He just his dribbling and he would cause chaos down the wings. There were probably as many disappointments, I would argue, as breakout players, weren't there? You could argue for, disappointments is mainly going to be strikers, isn't it? So we're talking about players like Immobile.
Harry Kane.
Even with 4 goals? I get what you mean, though. I mean, when he didn't score, he was quite often anonymous. So in a way, yeah. But you got Ciro Immobile was a huge disappointment. Obviously, Morata grows without saying. It was really sad to see the Dutch without a decent striker for the first time. They had that bloody lump Weghorst up front. Looked like they were just trying to lump it to him. I was just like, you think of the depth of the strikers they've had down the years, and they would kill for just a Huntelaar right now or a Hasselbank, let alone a Kluivert, Van Nistelrooy, Bergkamp, or Van Persie. Anyway, okay. So if
I can't think of any more.
Okay, fair enough. Mike, do you know much about what happened around Wembley Stadium on the day of the final?
Well, all I really know is that people were being bellends, kind of in London in general. I know there was a tube station that had to get shut. Trafalgar Square was an absolute fucking dump. And then obviously people stormed the stadium, didn't they? And started trying to get in. And you could tell from watching it on TV, because you couldn't see any of the fucking stairs in between the seats, because it was filled with people who didn't have tickets. But yeah, I mean, Harry Maguire's dad got hurt, didn't he? That was a thing.
I mean, that's probably what's going to push it into the headlines. Yeah, is Harry Maguire's dad, bless him, got partially crushed, damaged ribs. And I mean, if literally a father of a player can get hurt, then it's like, oh shit, what the hell's going on here? I've listened to a few accounts, some from very senior sort of journalist figures and whatever, and they were recounting some really ugly scenes. They were saying, I think is it Gabriele Marcotti was really fuming about it. He said it was an absolute mess. Anyway, from the patchwork of things I've heard, basically, as you can imagine, unfortunately, we as a country, we'll go back to this, won't we? This whole common sense thing that apparently we've got, but we've never had. Was it common sense? Was it common sense to have an 8 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday night when people could just get on the piss all day? Was that sensible? I know you can't do much about UEFA's timing, but maybe close the pubs or something. I don't know. So that was definitely seen to be part of the contributory factor, was people were drinking literally from the morning. Another contributory factor, and there's a strong argument that this was the biggest contributory factor. I've heard a lot of people say this, which is cocaine. So the argument is, no, I mean straight out, the argument was, if people are drinking all day, Yeah, they'll get Larry at one point, but eventually they'll just black out. They'll just get shit-faced and then they'll black out. They'll be too tired to do anything, unless they've had a beaker full of cocaine. And apparently there was a lot of it going round. I'm pretty certain the guy who stuck a flare up his ass had been on the Charlie. So yeah, I think even the Met said something like, yeah, there was a big problem with cocaine, and that was fueling a lot of the aggro. There was also this bit, apparently, I mean, this is where, Mike, you have to surely criticize the Met big time, because first of all, it's unbelievable that they didn't foresee the issue that there was going to be loads of ticketless people who were going to try and get in. Apparently, they were talking about it online for like a week beforehand, saying, oh, the great Wembley jib, they were calling it. The idea was either they did what was described as tailgating, following someone very close behind who goes through the turnstiles with a valid ticket so you can rush in after them. And the other more unpleasant way to do it is people would just generally barge through the disabled access. So you can imagine this was kind of quite intimidating for people who genuinely were disabled, who were going in through there or were seated in that area. There were stories about families who had tickets, went to their seats, people were sat in them and refused to move, even though they didn't have tickets. Obviously, people blocking up the gangways. Like you said, there were some crushing situations, people generally being foul-mouthed and intimidating to people. Gabriele Marcotti, I think he was talking about, oh, I know what it was. I heard there was an ex-rugby pro who said that he was at the game and he said, look, I can take care of myself. Obviously, I used to play professional rugby. I can take care of myself. And I've never felt more intimidated than I did in that stadium. He said at one point there was a couple of guys brawling right behind him. And I think there were some kids nearby as well. And he had to get involved and just go, guys, what the hell are you doing? This is a showpiece final. What the hell are you fighting for, you fucking idiots? The stewards were, you know, as you can imagine, they were generally in their early 20s or teens. They didn't have a fucking clue. Why are you going to stop a bunch of rampaging louts from getting into the stadium and hurting you when you're paid minimum wage? This is where it comes back to, what the fuck were the Met doing? How did they not foresee this happening? So it was chaos. And the thing that was the biggest chaos, Mike, was obviously that the whole reason that there were spaces for people to sit in when they broke into the stadium was because of COVID regulations. So this could be a super spreader event, mainly thanks to those people. And let's just imagine if there had been a disaster. Imagine if there had been a fire, or I don't know. There's been stories. Apparently, UEFA said there were fireworks thrown and all kinds of shit like this. Can you imagine if there had been a Hillsborough-style disaster when there were too many people in the stadium and nobody knew what was going on? Anyway, the time's run out, so I was just going to say to you, do you think this basically completely ends any debate that we might actually be able to host a World Cup in 2030 with Ireland? Because we're supposed to be bidding for it.
I think that the fucking moronic pricks who behave like, I don't even know what they behave like, but they can't really call themselves football fans, can they? Just probably people who use the fact that they've just been in 18 months worth of shit and it was a blowout and whatever, and they were excited because of grow the fuck up. Those absolute fucking morons have probably fucked our chances.
Yeah.
And if they haven't, then
the Met are going to have to completely. Yeah, I'd be worried.
I'm slightly nervous about what might happen if we were successful. I do, however, think that I don't think it would be like that. I know we've just seen what we've just seen, but if we were hosting a tournament, I don't think we would see those scenes.
Agree. But if you're,
it doesn't look good, does it?
No, because if you're a representative of FIFA, and by the way, FIFA and UEFA, well, FIFA particularly corrupt as fuck. So let's not say that they're angels or anything, but you know, they do have professionals within FIFA when they are judging who's to host tournaments. if you're a member of FIFA, a delegate of FIFA, and you're looking at UEFA fining the English FA for booing national anthems, booing taking the knee, throwing fireworks, shining lasers in Kasper Schmeichel's eyes, storming into the stadium without tickets, ignoring COVID regulations, fighting with opposition fans, as we've heard that they attacked Italian and Danish fans. If you see all of that, to me, that brings two things to mind. One, how can I trust the English to have a tournament with fans like this? And two, how can I trust the English to have tournaments when their police force can't foresee something really obvious, like lots of people trying to get into the ground for free when there's not adequate security? So I think
it doesn't look good.
We're on the same page. I would be very surprised if we had any chance of hosting it now. I used to be really resentful that England would be rejected, because I used to think, oh, it's because FIFA are full of cunts who think we're a bit snooty, even though we're the home of football and whatever. And I used to have that attitude. And the more I look at it, I just think, man, if I'm looking at it from the outside in, it's suicide giving it to England. So there you go. A sad note to end it on. But hey, if you think we're talking bollocks, why not drop us a comment or call Mike out, or I don't know. But first things first, subscribe, ring the bell, ring Mike's bell, and then you'll get these updates every week. Most weeks we do an extra time. All right, we talk about all kinds of football related topics. We may take a short break because we're now in the summer between football action, but fear not, we'll still have our other lockdown large episodes. So,
and if you do have any suggestions for us, though, something you want to hear us talk about, or that you think might just be funny, or funny to hear us talk about, funny in general, whatever, suggestions welcome.
Yeah, come on, we're fully democratic like that.
Well, they're fully democratic.
Anyway, have a pleasant summer, people, in case we don't see you for a little while on extra time. And in the meantime, we will catch you soon, hopefully. Stay safe.